Often does not listen when spoken to directly. Mind seems elsewhere, even in the absence of obvious distraction.
Yes, not all the time, but yes.
All right,
I know people who have it much worse than me, but yes.
Often does not follow through on instructions and fails to finish schoolwork, chores, or duties in the workplace. Starts a tasks but quickly loses focus and easily gets sidetracked.
I'm an ENFP.
So you're saying yes to that?
Yeah.
Often has difficulty organizing tasks and activities, difficulty managing sequential tasks, difficulty keeping materials and belongings in order, messy, disorganized work, has poor time management, fails to meet deadlines.
Yes.
So I'm at 2 and you're at 20. This is, I think, the camp we're going to end up in talking about for our episode, where there is a disorder. It is interfering with life, but it is not hitting all the criteria for either an inattentive or a hyperactive version, like full diagnosis for ADHD. Mm-hmm. So to fully have a diagnosis of ADHD, as is, like on the label, you have to have 6 or more of the following in either category, and every single other category has to check off. So if, let's say you have all 6 of the inattentive version, so for people to hit every single criteria to get the diagnosis of attention deficit hyperactivity disorder is unlikely. Especially people that are really like learning about it and find that they have symptoms now, kind of as an adult. They were missed as a child and stuff like that. So what we probably have is either the people that are going to be watching are going to have an unspecified attention deficit hyperactivity. People who are watching that are feel like they have symptoms of ADHD, either have an unspecified or an other specified, and that's you have enough symptoms that it interferes with your life, but you did not check all of the boxes in this full one.
Yeah.
So that's the catalog in a nutshell. Well, this is my professor outfit. This is what I wear when I profess.
Profess what?
I teach.
What are you professing?
I'm professing my love for MBTI.
Thank you. That's a great answer.
Yeah. What are you dressed for?
Well, this is like my ladybug glamour. So I don't know. That's kind of it. Ooh.
That was really loud. I wish I did that by the mic.
You didn't even need to.
I missed my mouth.
I don't even have paper towels.
Cut that.
Cut the whole intro. That's the intro.
Hey everybody, welcome to the INTJ and Cat Show.
Meow.
Old Man McGucket, local kook.
Ooh, I want to dress like him for Halloween. Oh my gosh, I could be him. You could be... No, you're going to have to be him. I'll be Grandma. We match the energy.
Yeah. Old Man McGucket. Welcome to the INTJ and Cat Show. We have run through most of the animals, most of the pets that have been sent by y'all.
You guys need to start sending your pets again. If you haven't sent a picture of your pet...
Please do.
Please do to our email.
Yeah. Also, if you don't have a pet, but you know someone who has a pet, with their consent, we could take a picture of your friend's pet.
Go to the park, take a picture of a duck.
I think we're going to say go to the dog park, take pictures of people's dogs.
Yeah, why not? Hey, found this random dog. What type is it?
We're not, we know people with pets too. And we still have one special guest that we're going to feature that we know personally.
Yeah.
Today, we are featuring... Koshka.
Little
Now,
Koshka.
Here's the backstory on Koshka.
My little Koshka.
Yep. She was our neighbor's cat. And when our neighbor moved away for...
Also, I'm just going to be inserting photos here. I don't know which ones in particular. I have so many. Continue.
When our neighbor moved away for, I think he was doing a class or something.
Yeah, he was in university.
He was in university.
A couple hours away.
And he had his family that was supposed to be watching the cat. The cat decided that she was done with that and moved out.
Well, let's clarify the issue.
I don't think we need to clarify the issue. She hated the neighbor and she moved out.
She specifically hated the dog. The dog was not nice to her, and so understandably she ran away to us. And then ironically, I got to know our neighbor actually a couple years later.
When he came back from university.
I'm telling him about my little black cat that I have, and he's like, wait a damn second.
Wait, gosh darn second.
Wait just a gosh darn second. I think you have my cat. And he was just thankful and relieved because he thought she had gotten eaten or something. And so, anyway, all's good in the neighborhood.
Yep, so she hated the neighbor. She moved out. She moved in with us. And that's such a cat move.
So anyway, round of applause for Coach. Thank you, Coach, for being you. Well, hello, everyone. That was a fantastic INTJ and Cat Show. I have heard rumors that there are some people out there that say that's their comfort show. The ENFP and Cat Show.
Yeah, it was a little bit taken aback by that. You do contribute. I couldn't do the INTJ and Cat show without you.
Thank you.
It would be funny if you dressed like Cat Valentine one time and we did the INTJ and Cat show. However,
that'd be cute.
or Kat Dennings. You could dress like Kat Dennings.
Who's that?
She's some actress.
Okay. I'm more familiar with Cat Valentine.
All right,
so
do Cat
I'll do
Valentine
that.
then. I'm like, she's some actress.
Who's our audience more familiar with? You guys let us know. But now
We need more cats.
we do need more cats. Send us pictures of your pets, emails in the description. Moving right along, I'm ENFP. I'm your local certified MBTI practitioner. I'm not wearing my pin. This is what we look like, by the way. This is what certified practitioners look like. This is required uniform. And this is my best friend. And she's an INTJ. A very serious, you should take her very seriously. And she likes
Patterns.
That's right. How do you feel about my polka dot pattern today?
I like it. It reminds me of a ladybug.
I like the mix. Polka dots and plaid?
Polka dots and plaid.
Is that checkered or plaid?
I don't know. This is my professor jacket. I wear it when I'm trying to be a professor.
I love it.
And this is my professor hat.
I would take you seriously in that hat.
Like, if you were taking a class, let's say you were pick a class.
How to read the DSM catalog.
So if you were taking an abnormal psychology class,
Or that.
that would be a how to read the DSM type of class.
I guess.
And I was your professor on the first day, and I walked in like this. I would have your attention.
You would, and I would say that is an abnormal woman. She looks like she should be teaching abnormal psych.
Yeah.
And then I come in and I'm the assistant. Do you think those students would stay in that class?
I think
All the SJs would walk out. They're like, this
the
isn't
SJs
serious.
don't need to be in that class, probably.
The SJs are like, I'm done.
Yeah.
I spent this much money for this.
I mean, don't judge a book by its cover.
Exactly. And that's the lesson.
That's the lesson.
But we never change the whole rest of the semester. We keep dressing odd.
Ad. We keep dressing ad.
Dressing ads.
Yeah. No, I just feel like this is a great way to make a first impression as a professor.
It is, and on that note, play the clip. Roll the clip of why this outfit here is iconic to our lore.
Thank you all for coming today. This is lesson 101 on how to be personable. Step 1. When you walk into a new place, say hello to the people around you. Smile and maintain eye contact. Yes, the gentleman in the front row.
How many times do I say hello?
Once per person.
Okay, so 5 to 1 person is too many.
I genuinely say howdy. That is my...
In that hat? You say howdy in that hat?
Yes, I walk up to someone and I say, howdy!
Can you say it again?
Howdy!
You say it to the cat?
No, the cat doesn't enjoy being said howdy to. Once you've said hello to the people around you, then ask them something about themselves. But don't make it too personal. So start by asking them something like, what did you do last night?
Would you rather eat a flamingo or a peacock?
That's a little too personal. What is your favorite color?
What if they don't have a favorite color?
What planet do you hate the most?
What planet do you hate the most?
Jupiter. Who would you murder from history? If you say Hitler, you're basic.
Right.
To get some type of rapport. Oh, hello, welcome to the class. You're a little late.
Can I give her my notes?
Yes.
You're only supposed to say hello once.
So, would you rather eat a peacock or a flamingo?
Do you think it'd be okay to ask a cat that?
A cat's answer will always be a flamingo.
Do you want to explain to them a little bit? Well, I guess I should do the explaining.
No, you do the drinking. I'll do the... Well,
Okay.
The male can do drinking, not
You
the
do the alcohol drinking.
Okay, so one topic that I think is really prevalent in society is ADHD, and how ADHD is affecting the lives of people just trying to live in this world
The
today.
youths.
The youths of America.
The youths, they yearn for the ADHD.
They yearn for the minds. There are some really popular channels on YouTube that talk about living with ADHD, but they also talk about like other developmental disorders too.
Okay.
Learning disabilities.
Yeah.
Autism spectrum disorder. Those are the 3 I can think of.
Yeah. And, we are 2 women who supposedly have ADHD.
Supposedly.
We have both been diagnosed.
Yes.
In different ways at different times in life, which
Yes.
we could get into in a bit.
I suppose.
But we also are Myers-Briggs people.
That does sound like us.
We also are known, a lot of people call us the MBTI moms.
I think that's you.
I like to think that people think that. I like to think people are calling us that. And so
You're just trying to create a niche to go next to the therapy dads.
I love the therapy dads, okay.
Many people love the therapy dads.
See, we're the MBTI moms. We could be the MBTI dads if we put on mustaches. But anyway, the whole concept of, okay, time to get serious. I'm taking these off, okay? Time to get serious. the whole concept of ADHD and personality has been something I've been kind of fascinated by, and I think about it a lot in my own time, especially in the last couple of years. I got diagnosed ADHD in 2021. How old was I?
12.
You tell me. I don't know. I was not 12.
13.
Might as well have been.
14.
I think I was...
16.
I think...
18.
Keep going.
22.
I think so.
Yeah.
I was... Maybe I was 23. I think I was 23. So
12.
I was not 12. I was 23. But regardless, I got diagnosed, and then I didn't actually want to accept that because I'm like, oh, ADHD, whatever. I don't... probably, but I don't care. It wasn't until I actually discovered Vyvanse. And by discovered, I mean someone prescribed it for me. And when I started taking it, I'm like, whoa, mind blown. Or maybe the opposite. All of a sudden, my mind was not chaotic for the first time in my life. And I was like, oh, maybe this ADHD thing is like a real thing. And so that was a couple years ago. So for the last couple years, I can't help but now see this stark difference between me when I don't take Vyvanse or I'm not having a really bad ADHD day or whatever it is.
Can you silence your phone?
I'm sorry, TikTok. I love you guys, but... And then the days where I'm having a good ADHD day or I'm taking my Vyvanse and I feel really, like, I have almost had moments where I have almost an identity crisis, which is dramatic, but, like, who am I now when I have a clear brain? And this is what I want to read. This is what I wanted to read right at the top. This is an article. I'm going to put this article in the description. It's from CHAD, which is the... I always freaking forget. CHAD, Children and Adults with Attention Deficit Hyperactivity Disorder. CHAD.org. So this article is titled, Do ADHD Symptoms Affect Your Personality? I was like, hey, that's perfect. And this is the part that...
Dr. Seuss.
Dr. Sermon?
Oh.
Same thing. This was the bit here. ADHD symptoms could affect our personalities as people compensate for those symptoms. Treating ADHD symptoms might even make some traits that seem like someone's personality become less noticeable or disappear completely. This is not because treatment has changed someone's personality, but because the coping skills were not needed any longer. That's kind of what has been on my mind for the last couple of years through my own experiences. It's like, oh, I'm realizing some of the things that I thought, is this just like my personality traits, were actually coping methods with ADHD symptoms, or in my case, maybe anxiety symptoms, or all those things. But I was like, am I the only one that like asks these questions and thinks about these things? So that then we went on our community post, on the community tab, go to our channel, look at our community post, and I just threw up the question. I'm like, hey, anyone with ADHD, answer these questions. I put some questions and we'll go over those. But we got responses, and
we got an email too.
We got a great email that I will read, and the responses were like, oh, okay, I was feeling that too, and
yeah,
it was nice seeing people who could relate to what I was thinking.
Yeah, I think I had an ADHD diagnosis much younger in life.
Yes. How old were you? Were you in school at that point?
I was. I think it was 3rd grade. Maybe 4th grade.
So that's like 10?
9 or 10.
9 or 10?
8, 9, 10.
Yeah.
And I was on medication for a lot of my young years, my childhood, some might say. Mm-hmm. And it was beneficial. We could see, like, a big tell of my ADHD was the impulsivity, which didn't necessarily manifest in, like, super reckless behavior, but in, like, the social interactions, particularly with siblings or classmates or stuff like that.
It's definitely interesting because you wouldn't think INTJ and impulsivity.
Right. And so, let's say your sibling's doing something super obnoxious, and it's like the impulsive reaction is like, shut up. Mm-hmm. Where, like, you know, giving the, I did Ritalin. Well, I did Concerta, which is the grown-up form of Ritalin. It's the time-released one. Mm-hmm. It gave basically time. It created, like, that space in between that obnoxious behavior and the knee-jerk reaction to be like, oh, hey, that's a kind of obnoxious behavior. Would you mind not doing it? Which is just a way different response.
Yeah.
Yeah, so...
For sure.
I had to go off of medication because appetite suppressant is a huge thing for any type of stimulant.
Yeah.
And so there was like are there ways and practices that I can measure in my own life with the stimulants and also not waste away, as a Victorian child by the sea.
Sickly
Sickly Victorian child. But
have you found other ways to manage the symptoms?
Yeah. I think that there's a harmful, we'll go with harmful belief that like, oh, ADHD is like a kid's problem. It's like a kid's children's disorder, and like grown-ups don't need to, take Ritalin. And it's like, no, like you will take medication if it helps you become, better. But there are a lot of ways that you can structure your life and structure supports in your life to support the ADHD without medication. So medication is just one way that can help structure things.
Yeah.
And it depends on the severity, and it depends on what you have capacity for and if it's worth it in your life. So for some people, like Vyvanse is super worthwhile because, did you figure out what's wrong with your keyboard yet?
I'm just looking.
Okay. Vyvanse is super worthwhile because the cost, they run a cost-benefit analysis, right? And it's like, oh, the cost, the benefits way outweigh the cost.
Yeah.
And then for some of us, like me, the benefits of medication, while they're still there, the costs are too high for like health and stuff like that. But there are other things that I'm able to do, and like little, even diet adjustments, caffeine intake, stuff like that, that is helpful.
Yeah, I know caffeine can be...
It's a stimulant.
Very helpful for ADHD people. I was writing this down because you were saying that you got diagnosed younger. And I was like, had people been maybe more attentive to, I maybe could have gotten diagnosed. But part of the thing is, and that's why I'm glad you brought that up because I don't mind mentioning it, is around the same age that I got diagnosed with ADHD, I started developing some kind of mystery chronic problem. My doctors and I think it's probably something to do with my thyroid. But regardless, I have really bad chronic fatigue, and then a lot of symptoms of like hyperthyroid, so that's anxiety and like yada yada. Ever since I started developing those, the ADHD symptoms have been super exacerbated. I think that's the right word, exacerbate, yes. So I'm realizing now, I always had those classic ADHD symptoms, but probably partly because being an ENFP and being just a creative artsy person, a lot of those things were expected. I could disregard them as personality traits, which in a way was very difficult because I think I mentioned before, there were times as like a kid and a teenager when I would just be crying out of frustration because I was so unorganized. I couldn't keep my life organized. I was constantly losing things to the point of just crying a lot because I was so frustrated. But I always just like, this is just how this is my personality.
Yeah, and I think like you probably have, like I think I have a much milder form of ADHD because we read the catalog, and you can have like mild, moderate, or severe. I have moderate to severe dyslexia, which started the whole thing to like figure it out. I have like a subset of ADHD, which would be a sensory integration disorder, which would fall under ADHD. It used to be its own disorder, and they took it out of the catalog.
Dyspraxia.
Yeah.
From ancient Greek, praxis. Activity.
So yeah, sensory integration or sensory processing. It kind of falls under now.
It's a form of that.
But a form of it. And that in and of itself is like a journey, but it doesn't, it's more mild for me.
And I find like the dyspraxia, so that's not something I've ever struggled with, but as a personality thing, like you think of the SE, INTJs already tend to have the issues with the coordination and the sensory thing, but when it comes to a point where it's like, that's different. Something
as stupid as trying to take a sip out of a soda bottle or soda can and missing, like that's not normal.
Right.
I mean, it's silly. It happens every once in a while, but that's probably happens to me more than is common.
Was learning how to drive hard for you?
Learning how to drive.
I'm thinking of like you have to be aware of where the car,
Learning how to ride a bike, also difficult.
Yeah.
But
you're a great swimmer. You can also ice skate, and I can't do either of those things. So I mean, I can swim, but it's not very glamorous or graceful.
And I think you'll see, and this is kind of a common, like people with ADHD sometimes experience this. There's like the ADHD sway is what they call it, or like when you're walking and you like kind of like dodge things that are like stationary.
Oh, you have swagger.
Rather than like, oh, that's there, I'm going to walk around it. It's just like I'm going to lean.
Hips or something.
Yeah.
Insert video. I've seen it online.
Yeah. So
I like to think you just have swagger.
Yeah. I mean, but like, going through a door and not quite clearing the door.
Yeah. So it's kind of like slight spatial awareness, like you don't have
or like a really good example was right before we started filming, ENTJ was talking, we had a video playing, you were talking, I was trying to read out of the catalog to get ready to be informed.
Yeah.
And it was too much, and so I started like just turning things off.
Yeah, there's the like overstimulation, because I get that too.
Yeah.
What was I just thinking of? Oh, it's almost like I've had the opposite, because my dad and I are like super good with direction, and, like hyper aware, and I grew up as a dancer, and so I'm like hyper aware of my body and like coordination.
Yeah.
So,
and that can be a form. When I was in 5th grade, I did a science fair experiment, and I won first place, even though I shouldn't have, because I didn't work very hard on it.
typical INTJ moment.
About specifically sensory processing disorder, and if the frequency rates are higher in boys or girls.
Okay.
And so one way to test it basically is you kind of sit on a life-size Lazy Susan.
Yeah.
And you get spun in a circle like 10 times. And then you face like a blank wall with nothing on it.
Just torturing you?
Nothing on it to like help with your focus. So you'll be a little bit dizzy. And your eyes are going to go like this until they're able to
Steady.
And the longer your eyes go, I don't remember what like the rate that was supposed to be normal was. I think it was like, let's say 7 seconds.
Yeah.
And my eyes would go like 10 seconds. And there was a boy I knew whose eyes, it took like 3 seconds. It's like he immediately studied almost all the time.
Interesting.
And so I went, I sent a bunch of waivers home to the parents.
Yeah.
To test different classes in school.
But you were conducting research studies.
Yeah, I borrowed the life-size Lazy Susan from an occupational therapist, and we took it in and we did the research study. And in the end, the frequency between boys and girls, we saw no measurable difference. Nothing significant in that.
So that kid was just a freak.
So yeah, that kid was just a freak.
And then he got bullied the rest of the year.
But that's the thing, right? Is like, well, I didn't.
Everyone pointed and laughed.
No, I did not release the results. I kept everyone's confidentiality. So yeah, so we did that entire experiment. There was no significant difference, but basically, that was the way that they were able to measure for the sensory processing or sensory integration was making you dizzy. And I don't remember if you'd spin in a circle 10 times one way, do the wall, and then spin in a circle 10 times the other way and do the wall, if there was like a left versus right thing, or clockwise versus counterclockwise. But you did spin both directions.
Do you guys like my tights?
And then you would see how long it took them to reorient themselves in space.
Right. That makes sense.
Yeah. And so, with ADHD and stuff like that, there is also the issue of orienting yourself in space. And ADHD kids do tend to spin in circles a lot.
You like to lay on the floor.
That's because I know where the floor is.
The floor never let you down.
The floor never let me down.
That's great.
Wow, that really was an INTJ story.
It really was. You're very an INTJ child. This is why, guys, I want to do an episode where we talked about what we were like as kids. Because she has some great classic INTJ child stories.
I didn't even realize until I told that story.
I don't know if I have good ENFP child stories.
5th grade, won first place at the science fair, but the other kid should have won because
I was conducting research studies, and then on the other hand, you're like pranking your aunt and your mom. And
well, I don't know if that was a prank. I think that was just self-preservation. Like, I didn't want my clothes to go anywhere.
Well, we'll present it to the audience in that episode and let them decide. But for this episode, for ADHD, these are the questions I asked in our community post, because these are kind of the questions I want us to think about for this episode. We didn't necessarily have to go through each one, but just to give you guys a general idea of what I'm talking about here. First, do you ever struggle with differentiating your ADHD symptoms from your general personality? This is kind of the core of what started getting me thinking about this. I find the idea of your personality in general, and of course we're using Myers-Briggs in this context, your Myers-Briggs type, and if you also have ADHD on top of that, think about, like we were just talking about yesterday, you think about
yes, like we were talking about yesterday,
Yeah, you know. ESFP, ENFP, ENTP, ESTP, those are 4 types that kind of already give ADHD energy, and people will even joke about that. But obviously you can be those personality types and not have actual ADHD, a disorder that disrupts your daily functioning, right?
Yeah, okay, let's pause.
But then it's interesting to think about an ISTJ or an ISFJ who's not classic ADHD symptoms like society sees it. What if they have ADHD? the differences in how ADHD is different from personality. It's very different, but a lot of people.
Yeah, I was just going to pause to like kind of throw in, I'm going to throw in a couple of disclaimers. One, even though we're interested in it, we are not experts. These are our opinions.
We are two mentally ill women.
Yes, we are just mentally ill people wondering about the questions of mental illness with personality.
Yes.
Two, we read the catalog before we started.
We did. That's what we call the DSM.
Yep. So we kind of read through what developmental disorders were and ADHD specifically. So we felt like we had a little bit of knowledge in talking about it. And what I wanted to kind of talk about is like everybody can have symptoms with ADHD without it being a disorder. When it becomes a disorder, it is now like in multiple areas of your life. It is creating dysfunction or distress. What we kind of came to the conclusion of as we read through it was most of us who kind of find an associate like, oh yes, I think I have ADHD. If we don't hit all the criteria for it to be disordered, like the big label ADHD, there is a sub-label of ADHD, which is like unspecified attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, which is like, you don't quite fit in the box, but you're still having trouble with your life with these symptoms. So when we say ADHD, we're not just speaking of bold label ADHD disorder. We're kind of doing the umbrella of ADHD. And so even if you have symptoms that you don't think would qualify for being dysfunctional in multiple areas of your life, you could still say, I feel like this symptom in my life is at odds with this expression of my personality.
Yeah, for sure. And what I find interesting, I found some research papers and stuff. I did my research. And
I conducted the research.
They mention a few times in all of them of like, I think society, we live in a society, and
no, wrong, we do not live in society.
And the society, people have an idea of ADHD being a personality almost. And if it's not a full-blown personality, people identify ADHD as having personality traits associated with it. And so here we're wanting to like just explore, and again, we're not experts, we're not like, this is like, just let us know your thoughts in the comments as well. It's like, there is a difference between ADHD and personality. However, they influence each other as well. And that's what we're going to talk about.
Neither of them is identity.
Yeah. They're very tiny pieces of who you are and your identity.
A lot of times for the DSM, if we're looking at any disorders, the analogy, and I've used it before, that I like to use is a backpack, right? Is in your backpack. This is not part of who you are, but maybe somebody put depression, or maybe somebody, that makes a villain. Somehow depression got put in. Somehow anxiety got put into your backpack. Somehow ADHD got into your backpack. And it's something that you get to carry with you. And, if any of us were high schoolers in America, back before the Chromebooks, when we had to carry around those awful textbooks and we wanted to be cool, so we only carried it on one shoulder, and now we all gave ourselves self-imposed scoliosis. But like if you wanted to carry like heavy things in your backpack, you had to like make sure that like maybe you changed how your backpack was carried on maybe both shoulders, or you didn't necessarily do workout training, but you had to be strong enough to carry your backpack. And so if you have to carry like, depression in your backpack, or if you have to carry ADHD in your backpack, there's scaffolding you have to put in your life to help you carry that backpack.
Yeah, absolutely. You're very strong. Get buff.
Get buff.
Moral of the story, go get buff. So yeah, that's the main question. Do you ever struggle with differentiating your ADHD symptoms from your general personality? Other questions I asked were, do you feel that they are heavily intertwined?
Correct. I do feel that they are heavily intertwined for me.
Have you ever felt that your personality traits or personality type is at odds with your ADHD symptoms? How might do you ever feel like you have to box your symptoms? Yes.
Like box or?
No, box, like you were just doing, yes. How might your ADHD and personality type play well together? And then finally, this is kind of two questions, but if you have found effective treatments for your symptoms, how has this possibly changed your view of yourself and your personality? Do you experience any major differences in your personality when your ADHD is managed versus unmanaged? Yeah, so when I say treatment, like whether that's through medication, which there's different types of medications, not even necessarily stimulants, but a lot of people have found like through diet and strict like
diet, exercise, limiting screen times, guided meditations.
Just through therapy, through whatever it is. There's so many different types of treatments. EMDR. I don't know if that works for ADHD, maybe.
Yeah,
I know it's approved for like PTSD and
Yeah, I think it does, because I don't know enough about it.
Well, we'll get back to you on personality and EMDR.
Can we fix your personality?
But yeah, however you're treating it or managing the symptoms, have you found that there's a major difference in what you observe as your personality traits with or without the management? I think that's what's interesting because I know I've experienced some of that. So before we really get into that, I wrote down a list of questions for the silly but very hot INTJ woman
I'll go get her.
that I would like to ask you. Okay, lock in. Do you have your hat on? Are you ready?
Got my thinking cap.
All right, so here are some questions I have for you because you have been diagnosed with ADHD.
Correct.
You were diagnosed at a young age, as we discussed earlier. So as an INTJ with ADHD.
I think that in itself is its own, like, it feels counterintuitive. It feels
does.
like it's at odds to even say that statement, because INTJs, like the stereotypes around them, are very much like big thinkers,
Right.
big business,
Well,
9 to 5.
before I ask that question, later down in my document, I did put down DSM, some of the DSM diagnostic criteria for ADHD, and then I put the weaknesses of the ENFP next to it.
Yeah.
And so if you put the weaknesses or even just the traits of an INTJ, it's probably not going to match up very well.
Yeah, unless you kind of go like inattentive focus and hyper focus, which are both under the attention part of ADHD. Is that I think INTJs, you're much more likely to see a hyper focus in.
That makes sense.
Where it's like, I'm going to go think about this for 6 hours, please leave me alone.
That definitely makes sense. That definitely checks out. And that brings up a good point, too, that there's a lot of traits of ADHD that, again, people don't know about if they're not actually familiar with the catalog and the criteria.
Yeah.
A lot of people just think, oh, ADHD is just being hyperactive, being distracted, you can't focus, but there's a lot more to it.
And I think big shout out in my life goes to my mom, big mom fan.
Love mom.
Love mom. ESTJ.
Yep.
When she learned anything about any of her children, she became a researcher. Now, she didn't do research like I did research. She did research like she went to the library and got books and read about it.
Yeah.
So she did not conduct experiments.
Yeah.
But she's like, I have to know. That way that I can better help my children's journey in life, that they will be successful. And her big thing was always like, any diagnosis is not an excuse. You don't get to like tap out, like, well, I have ADHD. Like, all right, so you have ADHD, so you're going to have to find another way.
Yeah.
Like, and with dyslexia especially, it's like, okay, cool, you get to work twice as hard, but is that what you're going to do?
Yeah. We love ESTJ moms.
Yeah. So a little bit of tough love, but
yeah. No, that's fair. So my first question is, what are common ADHD stereotypes, and do you feel that those stereotypes represent or don't represent you as looking through the lens of INTJ?
Yeah, I think like if we were to personify ADHD, it's an 8-year-old boy at the end of a dinosaur birthday party after they've had a bunch of cake and are like on the bounce castle.
Yeah. Yeah.
Would you add anything to that?
Yeah, I mean, like, when I think of ADHD, the stereotype growing up was always, like, the boy in class that's constantly unable to focus and causing a ruckus and, like, distracting everybody.
Yeah, so if you take the kid that I just described and you put him in class, that's the personified version.
Like, they seem like they always have a sugar rush, even though they haven't had sugar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that if
they had too much Mountain Dew.
If they had too much Mountain Dew, I wouldn't say that I would check a whole lot of those boxes from that personification.
Right, so you can see how it's easy for a lot of people to be like, oh, I don't have ADHD.
And when we were looking at the catalog, what we did see is the prevalence in diagnosis. Boys are twice as likely to be diagnosed than girls, but it's probably because of an understanding and underreporting.
Right.
The way that ADHD manifests in girls can look a lot different.
Yeah.
And so you already have me. Oh, is this just me? Yeah. Me, an INTJ girl who doesn't look quite right, being, the typical, like, little girl, because 11-year-old girl is conducting research experiments on their class.
Yeah. Like, when I'm thinking of this question, if I feel like the common ADHD stereotypes fit me, and I'm specifically thinking of, like, growing up, not even necessarily now, because they probably do now, but, like, growing up, because typically we try to think of, like, what were you like in school and stuff, if you went to public school. Homeschool is probably a little different, but I was a very ENFP child, but I wasn't hyperactive in the sense of I was good in class, I would focus, but I did doodle a lot, and I got in trouble for doodling.
Why?
I would get in trouble.
What did you doodle on the desk?
No, on my homeworks and like whatever assignments we were doing in class, I would doodle a lot, and so then a lot of the time in my notes, the teacher would say, less doodling, more this, and like, because...
But did you do the assignments?
I think sometimes I didn't.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so like, there was that kind of, I don't know if that's hyperactivity or inattention.
It's interesting that they like decided that the doodling was the problem, not that their teaching methods were the problem because you were not paying attention.
And
like,
that's commentary on the modern education.
My commentary on the education.
My hypothesis, I guess, my theory,
Okay.
is that ENFPs, ESFPs, NE and SE dominant types.
Okay.
So there's 4 of them. Those 4 types, I think it's fair to say, kind of fit the like stereotypical ADHD picture. A lot of people will actually joke that like, oh, ENFP and ADHD is the same word, right? Like people joke about that.
The corporate needs to see the difference between
What's the difference between
these
these two? It's the same picture,
yeah,
right?
It's the same picture meme.
So that's the joke, and obviously I see why it is, right? But my theory or my hypothesis, whatever, is that those children are more likely to be overdiagnosed with ADHD growing up in school. Mm-hmm. And I don't have statistics on this. I might be totally full of crap, and it's not true.
I would support that hypothesis. I think that, like, well...
But it gets me into the school system is built as kind of an SJ school system.
I was trying to decide whether or not you wanted me to go
That's
there.
where I was going.
Okay, cool. Because I was building it, and I was like, well...
At what point is, okay, this ESFP child does have ADHD, or this ESFP child is just an ESFP existing in a very structured, rigid SJ system that doesn't work for them?
Yeah. And that's why...
That's interesting to think about.
That's why for a proper ADHD diagnosis, you're supposed to observe and get, like, information about the person in multiple places, not just the teacher who's frustrated with the student because they can't sit still in class.
So that might have been more of a case back in the day. Hopefully nowadays that's not as like because like in my dad's generation, he got labeled ADD. I don't think he was officially diagnosed, but a lot of kids in that generation were, you're ADD.
Well, there is so much more stigma, like a few generations ago, that they didn't want to diagnose you with ADD, ADHD, autism, anything like that, because then it's like, oh, well, you'll carry that with you for the rest of your life. And thankfully, that stigma is beginning to, like, especially because people are just talking about their experiences and stuff.
Yeah.
That stigma is going down.
Yeah.
But
it's okay to be crazy.
It's okay to be mentally unwell.
Look at us. It's okay. We're all mad here.
We're all mad here.
But just on the topic of the stereotypes, so growing up was like, yeah, I would be caught doodling, but it's like, yeah, at what point is that? That's kind of you're an artsy kid? I don't know. I don't think that it's fair for me to say either way if that was an ADHD thing.
Yeah.
The things that actually caused dysfunction for me that I can remember was the extreme disorganization, couldn't keep track of anything in my life. I still struggle with that, but I'm a lot better. And the trickiness is with the social stuff, because there's a lot more now, and I'm curious what the updated DSM will say.
We were just there.
I know, with the DSM-6, if that were to
that's not out yet.
No, it's not. But I'm saying, like...
I was like, we were just in the most recent version.
I'm curious about more of them exploring more of the social aspects of ADHD, because I see that discussed a lot, in that, like, masking for ADHD people, like autistic people do, is the masking, because looking back at growing up, I had so much social anxiety, and it's like, okay, at what point was that just social anxiety? At what point was that part of the ADHD, of the chaos? Because what I have found, this is just for me, I can't speak for other ADHD. When I started Vyvanse 2 years ago, which for me has been a very effective treatment, that was for the first time in my life, like, my brain was clear. It wasn't chaotic. And what I was finding, to my surprise, was, oh, all my social anxiety's gone. I can talk to people. I want to talk to people. I can hold conversations. And so I was, in my opinion, based on my experience, it's as if my social anxiety growing up was closely tied with that ADHD chaotic stuff, and probably the low dopamine and the need for extra dopamine. Because once I started getting that, I was like, oh, I'm not scared of anyone anymore. Like, I'm totally fine. And part of it came from my own inner work too, through therapy. But that's why I'm curious, in like the updated DSM, how much those kind of become symptoms of one another. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's
And
interesting.
there's a high level of co-occurrence and comorbidity with ADHD.
Right. Anxiety and ADHD.
Yeah, anxiety,
Depression.
depression. Well, those just like to hop. And I don't know if I have quite the right verbiage for it, so I could just come out sounding like an insane jerk.
Okay.
I think in some of the progressive movement that we've made as a society to like let people kind of like, let's talk about these things, let's become more ourselves, let's create more space.
Yeah.
In some ways we've also, and I don't know how, but we've closed space for the same thing, where without diagnoses and labels and stuff like that, everyone just kind of got mixed in society and had to figure out how to function together.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, grandpa's kind of weird. That's okay. We love grandpa anyway.
Yeah.
Instead of like, oh, there's something wrong with grandpa because he doesn't fit this exact box or this exact mold. And so, you know, you look back and
Grandpa ate too much lead.
grandpa had too much lead in his diet. And so I think in some ways coming up with like, oh, here are these diagnoses and how are these stereotypes that can help free you. They can also in some ways like also box you back in. And I don't have a solution or even a proposed solution for how do we continue to address this in culture.
Well, yeah, because it was interesting. It's like I brought up the example growing up, especially growing up, I was just constantly disorganized to the point where it was just dysfunctional and would cause a lot of distress for me and the people around me a lot of the time just because we'd be late a lot. That's the weird part is I was actually really good at being on time with because some people with ADHD have time blindness. I actually never struggled with that. I'm actually hyper aware of time. Like what time it is and when I need to be places, but I would still sometimes end up late and causing other people to be late just from the disorganization in my brain and couldn't keep track of anything. And it was very distressing. And so I always that's just being an ENFP, I guess. But even at that, even if it's a personality trait, which for me it was probably a bit of both, even if it is a personality trait, our message all the time with MBTI is you are not boxed into that.
Yeah.
The point of becoming a balanced, healthy person is you can work on your weaknesses.
Yeah.
So
And
whether it's an ADHD symptom,
I think that's kind of what I was like,
Yeah.
is like the labels and like the diagnoses and the things that we identify with, they're not meant to hold us back. They're meant to create opportunities for us to become more who we're supposed to be.
because you will see that. I see people, whether it's ADHD or I'm a Virgo or whatever, like this is just the way I am. And I think a lot of us can agree that's not healthy. We don't get to take these labels and just use it as an excuse for our behavior. We use it to be like, oh, it can give you understanding. Because when I started treating the ADHD and accepting like, oh, I guess I do have ADHD, it was liberating in the sense not that like, oh, I get to use it as an excuse now, but like, oh, that's why I've been doing this. I can have empathy for myself and I can help myself get better because I know how to treat it.
Yeah, and I think about two people I know that both had, it's not ADHD, but they got an autism diagnosis. And one of them found it very, very helpful for them.
Yes.
They're like, oh, this is the reason why I am the way that I am, why I think this way. And here are tools I can use to function better in society.
Yeah.
And still, they will have moments where they do something that's very autistic. And somebody around them has to come and kind of explain, like, hey, I don't think you meant to do this way, but that's how this came across.
Yeah.
And then the other person that I know, when they got their autism diagnosis, it didn't help them. Like, it made them feel so much more different.
Yeah, they didn't want to accept it.
And they didn't want to accept it, and the tools didn't help them because they felt rejection around it.
Yeah.
And so, I think it works that way with any of these diagnoses.
Yeah.
That like an ADHD, you could feel it like really freeing, or you could feel it really condemning.
Right, for sure. Let's see. Other question I had for you. What I will say is, like, I didn't write this down, but let's say, do you think? Oh, I guess that is the next question. Are people generally surprised when they find out you have ADHD? That's what I was just kind of thinking about, because I'm like, I feel like people wouldn't be surprised if they found out. I mean, just look at me, you know?
just look at you right now.
I mean, if you were dressed like that, maybe, right?
Well, even this outfit is very coordinated.
It is.
As is yours.
Thank you. Organized chaos.
Yeah, I mean, I think surprise.
I mean, you don't go around telling everyone.
Yeah, to start with, I don't lead with that normally, but I also think, I don't tell a lot of people. A lot of times, if we're having an ADHD conversation, it's because the other person is in an ADHD space that they're trying to process through. So me saying, well, actually, I have ADHD, isn't beneficial to them moving through their process.
Right.
Sometimes it helps me find touchstones with people, right?
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah, I've had that moment too. Like, it's really frustrating when you're aware of the time, you get everything ready, but then you lose your keys and you're trying, that's so frustrating when that happens multiple times in life and you begin to feel like or look like you're irresponsible and you create that narrative. Like, that can be really defeating.
Yeah.
And so that can be helpful as a touchstone. It doesn't really help with I also have ADHD. So I don't bring it up a ton. And if it does come up, generally people are pretty dismissive. So it's not even surprised. They're just like, meh, you don't have ADHD, you don't look like blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And I was like, thank you, I've grown.
Oh, thank you. It's a compliment.
Thank you.
It is very INTJ to take things that are meant to be insults and see the compliment in them. Yeah. It's a very INTJ trait. But no, because I was thinking, like, it'd probably be more obvious if an ENFP or an ESFP or whatever said they have ADHD. I think a lot of people aren't going to be surprised. But if an ISFJ, ISTJ, even INTJ or whatever, tells you they have ADHD, I would think a lot of other people would be like, really? You don't seem like you do or whatever. But on the flip side, this is what we were talking about yesterday. You guys know. I would think in some ways, ISTJ, I'm using ISTJ as an example because I think ISTJ really goes against a lot of the typical, what people think of as ADHD traits.
Neurotypical.
Yeah. I also think it could almost be, this is me theorizing, you guys just let me know what you think. It almost, in my head, I would think, it could be easier for an ISTJ to get diagnosed with ADHD because it's so at odds with their natural personality traits that the dysfunction of ADHD symptoms becomes more apparent.
Yeah.
I could see that aspect, and likewise, I could also see the aspect of, in some ways, I think the NE-DOMs and the SE-DOM types could get overdiagnosed with it. They might also, on the flip side, not be diagnosed with it because it's like, that's just your personality. And so at what point, where's the line of like, yes, I have these personality traits, but also a lot of these traits are like dysfunctional and it's ADHD. I don't know.
I think an important part, when we read the catalog, developmental disorders, that's the umbrella, right?
Yeah.
And then you have learning disabilities, ADHD, autism spectrum disorder.
Yeah, comorbid.
Intellectual disability, like things like that.
Yeah.
All of those are in there under that umbrella. What it said for all dysfunctional disorders is or developmental disorders, is that the development was a key. Like, are you manifesting symptoms that are not appropriate to the age of development? So like for an intellectual disorder, it's a little bit in some ways easier because it's like, they have the intellectual ability of a 7-year-old, but they're actually 10.
Yeah.
It's not wrong for a 7-year-old to have the intellectual ability of a 7-year-old.
Yeah.
It's not wrong for an 8-year-old boy to have the developmental abilities of an 8-year-old boy.
Yeah.
So the expectation, like, you wouldn't put an 8-year-old boy in a 9-to-5 office space and ask them to sit at a desk all day.
Yeah.
Like, that's silly.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes, and particularly in school, we request developmental abilities beyond the age of the capabilities of that season of development for children. And so that also plays in. Like, what's the developmental ability of a 10-year-old ENFP?
Yeah, exactly. This one we already know. The third question was just, do you relate more to a hyperactive or inattentive style? I think we're both more inattentive than hyperactive. I guess maybe between the two of us, I might lean a little more hyperactive, but I'm fairly inattentive. And I guess the main difference between those two, the hyperactive is more the classic, what people think of with ADHD.
Yeah, let's clarify real fast. ADD no longer exists.
Yeah.
It's not in the DSM. So
it's canceled.
And that's so people would be like, I have ADD. That's them normally leaning towards the inattentive style, where like the H is like the hyperactive.
Yeah. I'm just seeing if there's a graphic to like. Yeah.
But the brain structure of both, it's the same dopamine deficiency issues that come out of that.
Oh, they talk about self-esteem issues. I've seen that too with ADHD. Did you relate with it? Because I always have known INTJs, even young INTJs, to be so confident.
Yeah.
But did you relate with having like more self-esteem issues than the average person, or just what you would expect for a teenage girl? You know?
Yeah, that's a hard.
At what point is like, you're a teenage girl, you're going to have self-esteem issues?
Yeah.
I was beyond self-esteem issues. I had a lot of problems, so possibly that was fueled by ADHD, but I don't know.
I'm sure I have some self-esteem somewhere.
So,
Oh, I do have like that fidget. Like it's hard to tell, but I'm normally doing something.
I never thought I was a fidgety person until I started editing these freaking podcast episodes. And people actually in the comments started pointing out someone needs to give ENFP a fidget spinner. I didn't realize how much I tend to move. Today I've actually been doing pretty good.
Yeah. Here's the thing though that they don't see. Since the episode started, I've been moving my foot. Like if you look down, you can see I've been just like lifting up, down, toes, back and forth.
Yeah.
But I had to learn, it's basically masking, right? It's like what fidgeting is appropriate.
Yeah. I do see the, like, you do stuff with your fingers, too.
Like that, yeah. But people don't notice because I've learned to make it subtle enough.
Last question I have for you, Miss INTJ with ADHD. Do you think your overall personality has an influence on whether you're hyperactive or inattentive?
Oh, probably.
I'm like, I really don't know because it would probably take deep research and multiple studies to, like, determine the truth behind that. So it's more of an opinion.
Yeah, I mean, probably.
Because I would think seeing a hyperactive INTJ would be a little bit more odd. I would expect an INTJ to have an inattentive type of ADHD.
What were the symptoms of hyperactive? I mean, using this very normal infographic, not the catalog.
This is our ENTJ friend. Often completes other people's sentences.
Yeah, so that's the
waiting turns.
impulsivity aspect for me.
And you did have that, often on the go. Oh, interesting, more likely to have ODD, OCD. More common amongst males, often diagnosed and often talks excessively. That's not you.
That's not me. I think ENTJ might have.
And see, when we start talking about like interrupting and stuff like that, people have pointed out that, not necessarily that I interrupt a lot, but like I'll ask you a question and then I'll start answering it.
Yeah. That's happened already multiple times.
At what point is that an ENFP trait, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of an NE thing to do, but...
I do, like, I'm very conscious of if I interrupt other people, because...
You know what they're going to say before they do. Like, that's just being an INTJ, you know.
Well, it irritates me, and it doesn't irritate me enough that it's like I need to, like, die on a hill or something about it. But when I'm talking and people like talk over me or walk away or like things like that, I'm like, oh, you've just communicated, you have no value.
Yeah.
It bothers me so much. And so I really actively try not to do that to other people.
Yeah. No, I've always been really good with that's why I dismissed the ADHD diagnosis a lot, because I'm like, I'm fairly good at focusing when people are talking and like listening. I've always been an active listener and stuff. And I was also comparing myself to like, there's a certain family member I have that's really bad at staying in a conversation. Like, he's constantly looking all over the place while you're talking to him, constantly, like, will start talking to someone else while you're talking, like, responding. Like, ADHD, like, what you would think of as ADHD, like, they cannot focus. Like, someone needs to give him an Adderall, right? Like, dude, I'm talking to you, right? So I always compare myself to that, and I'm like, well, I don't do that, so I must not be ADHD.
Yeah, but that's like when ENTJ was trying to figure out like how much she enjoys intellectual things, comparing herself to INTJ.
Yeah.
Like, you have to compare yourself to yourself, which is hard to do because you don't know what yourself is without yourself, which is why Adderall or Vyvanse was such a game changer for you.
Yeah, for sure.
Because that was the first time you were able to compare yourself to yourself.
For sure. So when I went, this is just from 16 Personalities, obviously our big fans over here of 16 Personalities. Anyway, in their list of weaknesses for the ENFP, like one of them was restlessness. With their positive, upbeat attitude, ENFPs rarely seem upset or dissatisfied on the outside, but their inner idealism can leave them with a nagging feeling that some major areas of their life just aren't good enough, whether that's their work, their home life, or their relationships. So yeah, even in daily functioning, it's like restlessness can be a sign of just an underdeveloped ENFP. And so that was also the difficulty in like maybe why I didn't get diagnosed until much later in life, because a lot of the weaknesses of an ENFP are also very similar to the traits of ADHD. But anyway, the just point being, I was comparing weaknesses of ENFP, and you could probably do this with ESFP as well, and ESTP.
I think
unfocused,
though, like,
disorganized.
I would say it's a little bit like you grew up with a worldview through MBTI. Most of the world doesn't utilize that.
Right.
And so it's more likely for there to be an overdiagnosis in like people with NE or SE, because there's nobody saying like, oh, that's probably NE, that's like trying to diminish it.
Yeah, it's true. And so on that note, I was curious to compare ENFP with ADHD with an ENFP who doesn't. And already, it's not going to be a fair comparison because we're two different people in general, and there's too many factors. But it would be interesting to compare an ESFP with, ESFPs with ADHD versus ESFP without, for like INTJs that have diagnosed ADHD versus those without. I think that would be interesting if we had a bunch of money and we're, licensed researchers, we could do that. But yeah, just thoughts.
Which one of us is more likely to be a researcher?
Let us know. Let us know, because at this point we're matched. Although it's about to change.
Yeah, and I've already done research.
Yeah, I know. You started early. You started young. Let me just see if there's anything else in here I wanted to touch on. Like I said in our community post, because we're about to get into, we'll just lightly touch on some of the responses. Mostly that email is what I want to look at. But this, like with the MBTI and gender and the MBTI and culture, this could become its own series of episodes. This is kind of
MBTI and mental health.
Yeah, this is just a first little touch into it. So I'm not going to go, for the sake of time, we're just going to get into your guys' responses. Thank you to everyone who, on our YouTube community post, replied with their answers and also got a lovely email from somebody. So feel free also, if you want to answer these questions and you didn't see those, you can...
Yeah, throw it in the comments. So what she said was survey time.
Survey time!
With like sparkles in a brain.
Yeah, it was more like survey time.
This one is for all my fellow ADHD-ers. We are putting together an episode where we explore the topic of personality and ADHD, ellipses. How they interact with one another, comma, how they are different from one another, comma, and how they influence one another, period. So, if you have ADHD, I want to hear your thoughts and experiences. Below are some prompts for both you and I to consider going into this topic. Do you ever struggle with differentiating ADHD from your personality?
Earlier.
Do you feel that they are heavily intertwined? Do you ever feel that your personality traits or personality type is at odds with your ADHD? How might you feel your ADHD and personality type play well together? They play well together. If you have found effective treatments for your symptoms, how is this possibly changed your view of yourself and your personality? Do you experience any major differences in your personality when your ADHD is managed or unmanaged? Before we read something, I do want to make a comment. As with our MBTI and culture and MBTI with gender episodes, we plan for this video to be preliminary, general overview of the topic. In the future, we want to continue the topic perhaps in its own series, where we can dive even deeper into the topic and its nuances. For now, we look forward to hearing all your thoughts.
Love ya!
Yeah, with that, I don't know how to describe that.
I like that little kitty emoticon. It's like a little happy kitty.
It's a kitty. Okay, so the comment I was going to say is people that... This is specific to parents. So I'm coming at you, parents. Watch out.
Uh-oh.
Specific to...
Parents love hearing from non-parents.
Yeah, so specific to moms.
Okay.
But it could be dads.
You're a cat mom.
I have seen on social media parents be like, and I didn't put my kid on Adderall for the weekend so he can be his true self. Right?
Yeah.
That seems mean. If your kid actually has ADHD and is using Adderall to function, I would borderline that could be a form of child abuse.
Maybe.
Because, like, you feel like Vyvanse helped you find your true self.
It does.
So if you were growing up and you were being given Vyvanse to perform in school, and then on the weekend your mom's like, nope, no Vyvanse for you, so you can be living in that brain fog and unable to coordinate yourself and feeling like you can never identify who you are or get the things done you want to get done, that's your true self. Like, isn't that mean?
It is. I'm glad you brought this up because my psychiatrist has instructed me not to take Vyvanse on weekends.
Interesting. Why is that?
I should clarify, he highly encourages it. He says he has his own kids not take it on the weekends. He didn't say it's because they can be their true selves. That's crazy. His reasoning, and I think a lot of other psychiatrists, it's to give yourself a break because this is what's weird is, you know,
like we don't need to get into medication to be more effective. I will have that conversation. I think that's fine. It's like, make it work on the days it works.
Yeah.
But like, I grew up taking Concerta and I took it every day.
That's what,
until there was a point where I was like, oh, okay, I'm going to try different ways to structure my life so I can like gain weight.
Well, I'm curious, did you just stay on the same dose too? You didn't ever have to increase?
I don't remember. I think my dosage should change a little bit, but I think it was more like,
that's what
because I
people
was
argue.
8, right?
Yeah.
Going from 8 to 12,
But
your
that makes more
dosage is going to
sense.
change.
That makes more sense because you've seen a lot of forums, people going back and forth of like, listen, I have a condition and this medication treats it. I'm going to take it every day. And there's people that say, I've been taking the same dose every day for years. I'm fine. But there's a lot of doctors and psychiatrists and just other ADHDers based on their experience that are like, no, you need to take at least a couple days off every week. Otherwise, you're going to become desensitized. I hear so many different things and I don't know. And I would prefer to just take it every day. That would be so wonderful. But I have purposefully taken 2 days off every week because I have a fear that I'm going to become desensitized. Even though, ironically, I've actually gone down on my dosage. But I don't know. That's obviously a different discussion. But
Yeah. No, I just like, if we're talking about, because medication grows and changes over time, and so there could be different like forms of medication that it's like, hey, for the medication to stay effective when you need it, there are some days that you don't take it. But that just doesn't make sense to me for desensitization if we're talking about like a physiological disorder. Because let's say you had a thyroid disorder, your thyroid's not going to become desensitized to taking like the supplements that you need for your thyroid for your body to function. If we took out your thyroid, then we would keep you on like a base level of like whatever it is because your body needs it because it can't produce it.
That's what I would think. I mean, of course, I'm not a scientist. I don't know. Maybe there is some validity with stimulants of becoming desensitized, but everyone has different experiences. And that's why some ADHD people are like, I've noticed no change. I can take it every day. And other people are like, I took it every day for a few months and I have to keep increasing the dose.
I would like, I would wonder with those people.
Do they actually have ADHD?
I guess you could make that argument too, because, you know, like caffeine, there is a sensitization, but like, there are people that drink a cup of coffee every morning. And if they don't drink a cup of coffee, maybe they're a little bit cranky, but they're not upping their dose of coffee, right?
Yeah.
Like, I need more coffee, otherwise I'll, whatever, because coffee's got caffeine and caffeine is a stimulant.
Yeah.
But, or is it like, if you take Adderall and you don't need it, because I've heard people like that I know like, oh yeah, I took half of an Adderall for a study session once and it was so cool because I could get so much done. I was like, was their dose maybe a little bit too high when they started getting the stimulant, and so they got too far on the other end thinking that's what normal is, and they're chasing that continually.
You just don't know.
I just think like, unless it's like recommended by your doctor, because I am not a doctor, to take time off of your ADHD medications for effectiveness reasons.
Yeah.
It is unkind to like take your children off of the medication that they need for disorders.
Yeah.
That'd be like, oh, you have depression, but I'm not going to give you your antidepressant on the weekends.
Yeah.
Like, so the weekends when you get your time to yourself, you don't get to be your true self. You have to fight through the fog.
Yep.
If I was taking it, I would skip medicine on like my boring days at work, which would suck, but I don't like those days anyway. So let's just make them worse so I can have the better days as the better days.
Yep.
Sorry, I took us off on a tirade.
So this email is maybe a little more for me than anyone because she's also an ENFP with inattentive ADHD. This is for, how would you say that name? Nyla? Is that how you say your name, Nyla? Nayla? I'm not sure. Lovely name.
Can you go down to the name again?
It's very beautiful. Nailah. I really like it. It's pretty. I just want to make sure I'm saying it right. Nyla?
Nyla is what it looks like.
Okay.
Unless it's your name.
Let us know it. So she sent this reply. She says, also, she apologized that her answers are lengthy, and I'm like, girl, you're literally me. You're literally me. I think you do this too. We both like to write, but like I would have so many teachers be like, you do not need to write this much. Is this an ENFP trait? Is this an ENFP with ADHD trait? I don't know. I also love writing long answers, so you're fine. She says, I'm a 17-year-old ENFP with ADHD PI. I think that means predominantly inattentive from my research. So she says, first question was, do you ever struggle with differentiating your ADHD symptoms from general personality? She says, when I was undiagnosed, I did believe my personality was literally just my ADHD traits, just as we talked about. The enthusiastic start to 100 projects, the emotional intensity can be attributed to emotional dysregulation, need for novelty, chaotic deaths, forgotten appointments. Oh, that's a big one, forgotten appointments. I thought that was just me. The idea that these could be symptoms of a neurodevelopmental condition wasn't on my radar. That's totally fair. Absolutely, 100%. And the difficulty is like, yeah, some of those things are ENFP things. But if like the need for novelty, being an NE trait, is to such a point that it's causing dysfunction, it might just be you also have ADHD that's worsening something that's already part of your personality. Like that could also be an argument, right? She says, I remember reading the DSM catalog, shout out, criteria for diagnosis one day. Why were they just ENFP traits? Exactly. Do you feel that they are heavily intertwined? She says, I don't know. Perhaps that's a sign that it is indeed heavily intertwined. Relatable. Have you ever felt that your personality traits or personality type is at odds with your ADHD? She says, yes, painfully. The most obvious clash is around follow-through. ENFP archetype is often described as an inspirer who campaigns for ideas, brings people together around a vision. I sure do sign up for many philanthropic organizations and whatnot, but unmanaged ADHD more often than not means a trail of abandoned projects. What did you call that? The hobby graveyard.
Graveyard hobbies.
For sure. This can make people feel deep shame for someone who sees themselves as passionate and values-driven. I feel like a fraud. How can I claim to care so much about something if I can't stick with it? Yeah. And, there's some truth to be the ENFP and the ADHD in there. I have felt that before, too, of you have so much on your plate because you want to do all these things, but then you never finish them. And, yeah, there is some probably truth to it being ADHD and an NE thing. Another conflict is in relationships. I value deep listening and being present for people, but ADHD makes my mind wander or I interrupt because of working memory issues. I relate a little bit to that. I also know other people that's a bigger issue for them too. And
that's interesting. Okay. This has nothing to do with neither ADHD nor personality, I don't think. Yeah. I think there's something cultural. When we talk, what are you doing when you're listening? Because I believe that most people, when they're talking, I think this is the approach that probably 90% of people take when they're talking or listening, is you said something, it triggered something in my mind, I'm going to wait my turn to say my thing.
Yeah.
That's not the approach I tend to take when listening.
Yeah.
I'm like, I want to hear everything you have to say.
You're a good active listener.
Yeah, and I don't think that there's one that's right or wrong. I think, you'll feel more heard probably talking to me because that's if you trigger something that comes up with an idea of oh, that's fun. It's but that's actually probably not important to what they need right now.
Well, that makes sense. I think part of that could be a personality because for example, when we go to the movies, if you brought this up as an example, you want to take some time to think about, you do have some preliminary, oh, I have these thoughts, but you ingest the movie and you walk away, take some time, and then a couple hours later you have thoughts, or a day later you have thoughts to share.
Yeah, I just
some of that might be that perceiving dominant.
Probably. The perceiving dominant does probably have a heavy influence.
Yeah.
But if you listen, and there could be male-female to this too, because I know that women are more likely to use affirming language and and that sometimes men interpret that as how rude, they're interrupting me, instead of the cue to I'm listening, please go on.
Yeah.
But if we have a conversation, I'll probably do a lot of yeah.
Yeah.
Instead of, see, you did it to me, and then I'm
I'm a woman.
Rather than, sometimes you'll have a conversation with someone, and instead of the spot where I would say, yeah, they say, that reminds me of blah, blah, blah. And it's no, you were supposed to say, yeah, so that then the next person, the first person can continue what they're saying.
Yeah.
And so I think there's both ways on that, but it's an interesting, how do you approach, that's my question, how do you approach to conversations and listening? I think a lot of people would like to say that they approach it as active listeners. But I think those people would be liars.
But yeah, I understand the idea of what you're getting behind of when you have such values to be a good listener and make people feel loved, especially as an NF, and you want people to feel cared about, but then you have this disorganization that tends to make you do the opposite. I understand that conflict. I've experienced that a lot.
And this was no shade to when you're having a conversation and you want to say your piece. I think that's how most people approach conversations.
Yeah.
It was just an observation I had about the values in approaching conversations can be different.
For sure. Second to last question, how might your ADHD and personality type play well together? She says, the ENFP's default mode is extroverted intuition, which means we are very probability generating people. We branch off akin to a tree. She knows her stuff. You say that a lot. Just that this is a luscious tree that's been alive for ages and is ergo, massive, LOL. Next, if I find a way to connect one of my values, introverted feeling, to a genuine, meaningful project that I generate with the help of trusty NE, I can potentially hyper-focus on it. This intensity that comes from the ADHD can make me create crazy cool stuff. I think that's a great example. You are great at answering questions. That's exactly what I thought when I started this question for myself. How might your ADHD and personality type play well together?
Did you just email yourself?
Yep, I did. This is actually just me. Huh? Came up with a fake name and pretended I couldn't pronounce it. No, there are literally times where I'm am I in a manic state just because of the level of hyperfocus from the NE and the ADHD powered together is just am I manic right now? And obviously I'm not, but it's just this. And in some ways, that's what's funny. Sometimes I can get projects completed if I'm that invested in it. But more times than not, if I get bored or something, I'm like, I'll go do this one.
There's an episode of TV, I don't remember what program it is. I might remember later. There's an episode on the TV from probably the 90s or the early 2000s where like the main characters were working on a project to try to win a competition or something.
Yeah.
And I can't even remember what the project was, so this is a bad story so far.
Okay.
But their neighbor had gone off of his bipolar medication, and so
never a good idea.
He was manic, and he was manic for 3 or 4 days and was getting a ton done for their project. And then he was very depressed, which isn't quite how bipolar works, and so they were like, then the neighbor's wife called and was like, because she was out of town, she was like, he needs his medicine. So they gave him the medicine, and they were like, well, it may or may not be, effective tomorrow, which, and they're like, you could be manic or you could be depressed. And so they were all like, we really want him to be manic so we could finish the project, but we also want him to be healthy.
No, it's real. I've only been truly manic. I actually wanted to mention this because I should clarify. I have actually had a true manic episode, but it was induced by a medication. And ironically, I understand when you're in a manic state, you wish you could just stay there forever. Like you don't realize that. Oh, to be fair, I was hypomanic, so maybe not full manic. But when you're in hypomania, it's like, this is great. I want to stay here forever. And honestly, when I look back to how it felt, I did a major project at that time. And it felt very similar to when I have just like my ENFP ADHD super focused on one project. It kind of felt similar to that hypomanic state.
Yeah.
Kind of interesting. Let me change the battery.
It wasn't that much fun to be your friend that time, though.
No. Yeah. So, lastly, I asked her, if you have found effective treatments for your symptoms, how has this possibly changed your view of yourself and your personality? She said, therapy led to radical self-acceptance. It's a very therapy term.
Oh, celebration.
That's how you know you're doing therapies, because that's a very therapy term. Which, good for you. Same girl. I was recently diagnosed, so I'm trying meditation, but I've been having almost deadly adverse effects. Oh, I think she said medication, I think is what you meant.
I think so.
I was like, I'm intrigued. How are you having deadly...
She said chemistry, yay, and titrating, which would not be meditation.
Like, I'm intrigued. Tell me more about having deadly adverse effects to meditation. I think you're doing meditation wrong. She meant medication, I think.
Because she said meds here later. Yeah, so, it's probably autocorrect for the win on that one.
Correction. I was recently diagnosed, so I'm trying medication. But I've been having almost deadly adverse effects. Yeah, that's not good. That's why not everyone can do stimulants and things like that. So it's going to take some more titrating and experimentation. Chemistry, yay. She talks like an ENFP. Like, you talk like I do. The times the meds have worked, my tertiary function TE seems to have a slightly more consistent direction towards its goal. That was interesting to me. That could be the case.
Do you feel smarter on Vyvanse?
Oh, I do.
Yeah.
I will say I do. I just wonder, am I confusing that extroverted thinking for just super hyper-focused NE? I don't know. But I see what you're saying, and that's probably accurate for me as well. Because, I'm actually able to plan out my week, create a schedule when I am taking Vyvanse. Like, I can use that TE. So I get it. And then she goes on to say, big fan of you too. ENFP and Cat Show is my comfort show.
That's wrong.
I'm your biggest fan.
No.
I am your biggest fan. No, you. Okay, so lastly, I'm sorry to anyone that we don't read here. There's really not too many answers, like in comparison to our culture and gender episode. We have
well, to be fair, everybody has a gender and everybody has a culture.
Right, this
not
is
everybody
more niche.
has necessarily has.
This is way more niche. We already have. Oh, by the way, thanks for 600 subs.
Yep.
Thank you.
All right. This person says INFJ diagnosed ADD.
So
that I have I follow-up questions.
So at least in the United States, I know that it's no longer ADD, it's ADHD. But I don't know where you're from. Maybe they...
Well, that part's not the part. I'd like to talk to an INFJ and about their diagnosis experiment. Please follow up with an email.
Yeah.
Because, like, we talked about INFJ being on the side of, like, oh, the diagnosis probably manifests a lot differently, and the symptoms probably manifest a lot differently.
It'd be interesting. But we do have an INFJ that suspects she might be ADHD who did answer, so we'll get to that. Let's see. So
at Iron Joe Horn said,
My neurodivergencies made me think I was an introvert until I figured out at like age 35 I was extroverted. Everything made more sense.
Yes, and so we had a conversation because you talked about anxiety kind of getting in the way of your introvertism, or your extrovertism, your anxiety, and you manifesting a lot of things that could be looked like that introvert. And that gave me a problem that I get frustrated when people think that being an introvert is a deficiency.
Yeah.
That there's a difference between having social anxiety or being shy and being introverted.
Yep, that's a big misconception.
Yeah. I neither have social anxiety nor am I shy, and I would still prefer not to go out into the extroverted space most of the time.
Yeah, no, that's totally fair to bring up because in a way I was doing that essentially. Maybe not as like openly as annoying people, but what I was going to say, and I think I said it in the response here to Mr. Iron Joe Horn, yet there was a long period of my life, in fact, most of my life, that I'm probably a unique example because I always knew I was ENFP in the sense that I was raised by a mother who loved Myers-Briggs and was knowledgeable about it. And while she didn't label us and like, you're an ENFP, I had an idea that like, yeah, I do kind of fall into those traits. So, but my issue growing up was, and now I understand it was likely because of having undiagnosed ADHD and maybe some other things, but largely ADHD. I would compare myself as ENFP to other ENFPs I would see, and a lot of them were just so much more social than I was. And there's ENFPs aren't necessarily known to be the most social of the extroverts. In fact, they're commonly known to be kind of in the middle of that spectrum, right? But still, ENFPs they are extroverted, and part of extroversion does have a social aspect, which usually includes like seeking out a social interaction more than an introverted person would be maybe getting more energy from social interaction than an introverted person would, and maybe just in general seeking out social interaction more in general. And I would see that in ENFPs around me, but this ENFP growing up, I actively would avoid people a lot like my introverted friends would. But of course their reason was because it was genuinely introversion. They process differently. Their social battery, if you will, like all of that, they're genuine introverts. But the reason I would confuse, like, am I actually, ENFPs already struggle with thinking they're INFPs, okay? We always have that, but I was like, it was even more so because I was like, am I an INFP? What is going on? Because when I told you in the beginning, when I started taking Vyvanse, and all of that chaos went away, my social anxiety went away, and I was like, oh. And I'm finding more and more over the years, I want to be social. I want to go talk to people. I enjoy being social, and I feel like more of the ENFP I saw in those ENFPs around me.
Yeah, I think that the issue, like issues with many things can be, is that the behavior might be similar. Like they're not spending time in that social setting, but the drive for that,
what's the reason for it,
might be different, and the default behind it. I said I'm really frustrated, like in what I'm seeing with some of these responses, which that still didn't fully explain what I was trying to say.
That's what I heard. I was like, take it down.
But like not because it's showing that we still have some of these misunderstandings. That, and it can go both ways, right? People want to be introverted because they think that introverts are mysterious, but people also, like,
a lot of them,
they don't want to be introverted because they think that it's some type of deficiency.
That's the misconception.
That misconception was bothering me.
For sure.
And that other people still, like, work with this misconception does not mean that I'm mad at them for having the misconception. I'm just mad that we haven't done our due diligence. Mad even feels strong, but like it irks me that we haven't done our due diligence as a society to kind of isolate the difference between introversion, anxieties, and the other thing that I already forgot. Being shy, which would be a form of like anxiety, because shy and introvert also are not the same thing. Shy is normally some type of wounding.
Right. I don't know if I need to read this one. This is the one that's talking. Not ADHD, but dyspraxia, which is...
Oh, yeah, no, this was a great one.
Do you want to read it?
Not ADHD.
Is it mean for me to make the dyslexic person read?
A little bit.
Okay.
But dyspraxia makes MBTI so hard to figure out. It took me so long to realize I was an INTJ, not to mention how much torment executive dysfunction puts me through because of my personality. Yes, dyspraxia also has a dopamine imbalance like ADHD and autism do. It's part of part of why motor skills are also challenging for us, along with our body and brain not coordinating together.
Yeah.
Definitely one of the reasons why I developed to be an INTJ, though, because having dyspraxia meant I had to learn how to plan quite early so I could actually teach myself differently. If I don't have a step-by-step plan, my motor skills are so much worse. However, it does also make being an INTJ more interesting, though in my opinion, it makes me less stereotypical in most ways, because in most ways, which I believe is a great positive, my dyspraxia has caused me to have
What is that?
hyperphantasia.
Oh, they literally explain it.
Absence of mental imagery, a form of neurodivergence, but that isn't a disorder.
Do you have that?
No. Which, in my opinion, as an intuitive, is a gift. It makes science more interesting, as I can actually visualize most things aside from quantum physics, which is what I find interesting. Do any ADHDers relate? So, I think it probably would, like, dyspraxia has a little bit more of the specifics, but it does kind of fall in that developmental disorder umbrella. Yeah. And I think it's funny because it's basically, like, what's the difference between dyspraxia and having low SE?
Yes. Yeah, what were your thoughts on what they said about dyspraxia meant that I had to learn how to plan quite early so I could actually teach myself differently? Did you relate with that at all?
I don't think dyspraxia is the exact same thing for me. And I don't think I plan a ton, like, because if we're driving, right, and you're telling me where to go and you're very unhelpful sometimes because you're like, turn there.
Yeah.
Like, we just deal with it and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I don't need the plan. Abundance of mental imagery, not absence.
Yeah, it's basically, I looked it up, it's like extremely vivid, almost one-to-one realism.
Yeah, which no, I don't have.
I feel like that would be hard to diagnose. How do you know?
Yeah. Well, it's kind of, we could talk about, remember when we were talking last year and I was like, can you please skip this song? It looks funny. And you're like, what are we talking about?
That's
and I was like, it has a weird texture.
Synesthesia.
Yeah. And then you talked about that. I was like, why? Everybody doesn't deal with that.
You have synesthesia.
And so I think that could be in a similar, like...
Yeah, I also have a weird form of synesthesia. Mine is so stupid. We've talked about it, but mine's dumb. But anyway, maybe that could be a form of part of ADHD for some.
So I would say maybe like the mental imagery, like I could have with the synesthesia, like I do see things that go with like abstract concepts. It's easier to pick patterns and stuff like that, but I don't think I have it in that form.
Yeah, that's interesting. Thank you for that comment. Also, I didn't say your username. I'm sorry. That was at Marine Beans.
That's a good username.
-I1R1B. Thank you very much.
The I1RB isn't as interesting.
No, we'll just say Marine Beans. And then I want to read our lovely INFJ from South Africa, Miss Audrey Hepburn 2790. She says, I have not been diagnosed, but I have been relating to a lot of videos about high-functioning ADHD and neurodivergence. I feel that can possibly link to the masking and chameleon-like nature of INFJ as a social survival skill. I feel that being an INFJ is definitely some kind of alien spectrum on its own. My mom would agree with that. I have also been an outsider, but my empathy and EQ is quite high. I do have some struggles with social cues, which often cause awkwardness, and I do seem to make enemies without meaning to. That's also kind of what my mom has gone through, which is crazy because she's like the sweetest lady ever.
Yeah, I think it's because people like two things is, even with FE, like there are some social cues that are just pointless anyway.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't make anyone feel better. It's just like this social norm that we go through. So why do we go through
social niceties, yeah.
Right? And so the SJs like it, but the rest of us are like, why do we do that?
Yeah.
So that makes sense. And then the making enemies without meaning to, and I've seen it happen. I think some of it is just people believe that some of the stuff is disingenuine.
That's what I was going to say.
And they apply that label.
I have literally in action seen people that even know my mom well get mad at her and take what she says wrong just because they don't think she could actually be that nice.
Yeah.
I find that interesting.
But I think like the masking that comes with like a lot of masking behaviors that I think autism spectrum disorder is one that talks a ton about masking. But like learning how to assimilate into a regular human culture rather than the alien culture, it makes a lot of sense for INFJs to.
For sure. So if you are an INFJ who has also been diagnosed or you suspect ADHD, we want to hear your thoughts, but we want to hear your thoughts no matter what your personality type is. I think it's just, and of course, this is all just for conversation. I don't think, just like with Myers-Briggs, right? Myers-Briggs does its best attempt to explain personality and sort it into different patterns and groups, but we're never going to be able to perfectly explain a human being. So a lot of these things could be personality, they could be ADHD, they could be both, they could be so many other factors of your life. You want to do that one?
Well, it's just the last one, and it feels mean to leave them out since they said that rejection sensitivity is.
Right.
I was like, that one feels extremely.
No, this is a good one. I'm glad. So.
Well, it would just be ironic, right, if they share about like a rejection sensitivity and then we miss them.
Well, and that's good to bring that up because I don't think we talked much about that one. We did a little bit. This is from this is the last one. This is from @alili. It's ALILI. N568. And they say, INFP with diagnosed ADHD. Is it my daydreaming, creative personality, or is it ADHD? Yep, that is the question of today's episode, isn't it? I do think symptoms like executive control, forgetfulness, rejection sensitivity are the ADHD. I imagine if I was an extrovert, I'd probably be more hyperactive type or interrupt conversations more. I think you could make an argument there. I don't think that's going to be across the board.
Well, that was just us talking about interrupting in conversations, the introvert versus the extrovert. But yeah, I was like, it'd be borderline cruel on us to have someone that talks about like, oh, I do have rejection sensitivity, and then like
rejected. No, on that note, actually, I was going to bring that up. I had an INFP friend who also had ADHD, and INFPs already compared to ENFPs have more sensitivity.
INFP on a baseline does tend to seem to have like something that would be close to rejection sensitivity.
Yeah.
But if you're an INFP and you feel like you have it, like that could be so much worse.
Right. If it's to the point where it's, again, dysfunctional, or you're finding like you're so impacted by it you can't function for a whole day or something, right? I've been there. I know what that's like.
I do not.
The rejection sensitivity. There's a difference between, oh, that hurt my feelings and I need to go cry about it. Like, that's healthy. That can happen. But there's a difference. I've experienced the actual rejection sensitivity. Like, I cannot function for sometimes days at a time because my mind is just, I can't stop ruminating about it. That's where it becomes, that's a dysfunction. That's what we would call rejection sensitivity.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it just depends. I think certain personality types like INFP are already a little bit more sensitive emotionally in general, especially to something like rejection. So you have to become the judge and also the person diagnosing you, the psychiatrist or whatever, to decide like at what point is it becoming dysfunctional.
Yeah, I think like we talked about earlier, it's like you were like, do you have rejection sensitivity? I'm like, bro, I don't know. Maybe I just assume that everyone's going to reject me, not that everyone.
Difference.
I actually assume that everybody loves me. So when I get rejected, I'm like, something's wrong with them.
That's that INTJ confidence.
I think it's the INTJ confidence.
Really
but it's all, like it's a them. I think it's heavy in the TE, right?
Yeah, for sure.
That like it's a you issue if you're going to reject me. That was your problem.
Yeah. No, I love that. To me, that's just classic INTJ. It's a classic INTJ mood. Yeah. Move. Win mood. Move.
But I think as a lady. There are like points in the menstrual cycle that you are like way more sensitive to things.
Let's not even get into that.
And so the closest I have gotten to rejection sensitivity is probably at that point in my cycle.
Hormones are crazy.
Where the hormones are crazy. And like just that one thing.
My friend Slade was telling me that hormones can impact your personality and everything so much because it's the only thing in your body that can go directly through the cell membrane. Hormones can. So that's a big reason why like hormones can have such an impact on every part of you.
And so like when you get into like that hormonal phase where like you're very sensitive.
Yeah, for sure.
For me, that's always been a great tell because I'm like, what are the things that are actually really bothering me in life that I've just been like TEing away?
Yeah.
And in this season, like it's a gift because I'm like, oh, I can now access all of these things in FI and take care of the things that I need to take care of.
Yeah, and that's why it's harder for me growing up. I got labeled the crybaby or you're just sensitive.
I mean, I did cry a lot as a kid. I think I was a sensitive child. And I became less sensitive as an adult. But
maybe you were an INFJ.
Could have been.
It got beat out of you. That makes it sound like you had all your siblings beating you up.
No, I mean, the meat mallet of life will do a lot for us.
Yeah. But point being is, like, for some of us that are not only F types, but then have something like rejection sensitivity and all that, you're like hypersensitive.
Or a menstrual cycle.
And also have like hormonal issues. Like, at what point do you just like, oh, I don't know, I guess that's just who I am, versus like, oh, I actually have like, these are some issues I could actually treat, right?
Yeah. How often do we talk about menstruation on the pod?
We should.
Because I feel like we talk about it more than most people, but not enough.
Not enough. I think we should. No shame in it.
Yeah.
Anything else to say before we do our thumbnail? We love you. Send us photos of your pets. Please share all your thoughts, whether you are diagnosed with ADHD, you think you have it, or just maybe on the spectrum, whatever it is.
Hey, and if you want to get a copy of the catalog and read through,
shout out the DSM catalog.
DSM-5.
Yep.
Tell your friends, tell your enemies.
Sometimes, you want to peruse through the catalog, pick out a disorder.
No. Tell your friends, tell your enemies.
I think I want this one today.
Tell your friends, tell your enemies. Tell your grandma.
No, my pediatrics doctor, when he was in med school, he said he came down with every illness he learned about.
Oh, I'm sure.
He was an INFJ.
I do feel like if you were to go to med school, which you can't do for, mainly not that, like, you're smart enough to do it, but you're too, like, you were afraid of a worm. So, like, it was raining, like, pretty heavily, and your cat, Archie, came in with a worm on him, and you put him back in the rain rather than taking the worm off of him.
I told him to take that worm somewhere else.
Yeah, and then he came in soaking wet to me, and I took the worm off him.
I have a lot of phobias.
So I just feel like that there are a lot of things in the human body that have worm energy.
Oh, yeah. There's a lot of things in the human body that I don't like at all.
So, yeah, you couldn't do medical school.
I couldn't.
And that's why.
But if I did.
But if you did, you would contract every illness.
I'd get Ebola somehow, or something crazy.
Yeah. She'd find out. So, yeah. Tell your friends, tell your enemies, tell your grandma, like, comment, subscribe, subscribble.
Dress like a ladybug.
Dress like a ladybug. Sting
Dress
like a bee.
the Mad Hatter.
I hope you enjoyed the How to Be Personable lesson.
Yes.
And if you liked this video...
We need to have our meeting, I think.
We do need to have a business meeting.
We need to have our business meeting.
If you like this video, watch another video we did.
Yes.
Maybe she'll put one.
We have a lot. We do. We're getting up there. Yeah. Okay, love you guys. Bye. Bye.